Welcome back, everyone. Figured I'd just do a little bit of a making of, give you guys an update about my workflow process, evolutions, tricks that I found, maybe a few things that you guys already know about, and explore just how I went through making this project and thoughts about how I'm going to do things moving forward from here now, having learned what I've learned. And every time I finish a project, every time I do a project, I'm constantly researching and constantly kind of going through this R&D process of, how can I do this better? Where are my frustrations? Then there's quite a few. And what can I do better next time? And I've been feeling out and learning, and it's something that we're all going through as we build our repertoire. So what am I going to be talking about today? I'll take you through piece by piece. So the first thing is the Google Gem and Google Notebook workflow, which has evolved a little bit. I think I finally figured that out. Higgsfield canvas. This one's quite a big and developed one for a 2-minute piece. That's I like my canvases, but I might be moving on to a different system. We sort of covered a lot of how ElevenLabs works and how to direct voices and the prompting structures, and that's all actually taken care of through the Gemini/notebook training data and the instructions, which I've amended as well. I've found some interesting tricks with creating characters as well, which I'll cover. Music, we sort of know about that. Suno, again, everything is sort of trained up and prompting through the Gem and Gemini. And then I'm going to sort of go through some of the tools that I'll be exploring in the future. So I had a kind of a look at Martini, which feels promising, but probably not quite there yet, not for me. I've been wanting to try InVideo, but I feel as though I'm sort of falling into a hype track with that one. I know that a few people are producing some really beautiful work through them, but I'm through my kind of figuring out what my workflow is, where are my frustrations, what do I want to be, how do I want to be working, and what sort of results I want to be getting. Plus, I've settled on, I think, the final stack of tools that I want to be using, and there's ElevenLabs. I think I was showing a little bit of OpenAI. Of the tools that I've been using, I think I've settled on the models which are Nano Banana Pro, which is really good for some things, not everything. I was researching how to get better anime styles, and actually Flux Max 2.0 came up, and my God, it blew my mind, and I'll show you that stuff in the canvas. In fact, I'll just give you an example of a couple of things that Flux Max did over here. So, and I've got comparisons for some of these as well, where Nano Banana did something, and then I tried it again in Flux Max, and some of the results were just astonishing. Like these sort of stills here are all Flux Max. These are beautiful concept frames. They're a little bit too fantasy, kind of a little bit too Lord of the Ringsy, kind of. We've got some nice bright colors. I wanted dark and weird, and I wanted alien world and alien landscapes, and it does sort of, I think, do very well in the anime style. I think in some concept designs and some illustrations, it's much more beautiful than what Nano Banana can achieve. Nano Banana was getting stuck in a very kind of, call it, early 2000s kind of anime style in some respects, but characters, it was getting really nicely done. Flux did characters. I wonder if I can show you some of the characters that it did, in fact. So where are the pilots? So here, if I zoom in, I also updated the gem instruction to actually include the profile image, a corner image, into all of the character triptych concepts, the 3-panel character sheets, and that's been incredibly useful and helpful. So this is Nano Banana Pro, and you can see that the quality of the face is much nicer. It's got more detail. It's got shading. It's got shadows. All that kind of stuff looks really, that's a really cool character. Over here, this is Flux Max 2, and it's great. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just a different style, and maybe it interprets the instruction a little bit differently to Nano Banana, and there's nothing wrong with this. It's actually really cool, like the outfit and the lighting on the outfit. It's got the high specular kind of light reflecting off the uniform. The uniform actually looks really cool. If I compare the two, you got an interesting kind of breastplate there. She looks a little bit short and squat, and her style is a lot more anime. Maybe you guys already know about this, but then compare that to her over here, and she looks a little bit more like 2.5D. I sort of prefer the look of the Nano Banana characters, but I guess it just depends. Like, I get more detail in the face here than I do in Flux Max. But having said that, so a lot of these were all Nano Banana sort of like assets and stuff. But then I redid some of the, I ended up calling them Keres or Keres, which is the Greek word for violent death. This may be the evolution of the story. Should I do continuations of stuff later on? These are all. Oh no, these are Nano Bananas. Oh, that's Flux Max. Yeah, so Flux Max kind of went a little bit harder on the like alien look, making them look a lot more alien. Nano Banana still gives me. It's in theme, and I kind of went with that theme, but I quite like the shading on that one. However, so this is Nano Banana Pro for the human ships taking off, but have a look at Flux Max over here. Look at the rendering on that stuff. I mean, that's wild. That's looking really cool. I think, what is this? This is Nano Banana Pro. So you can see, I can't point at it, but in the center here where that ship is, you can sort of see that it lacks a certain level of detail. It's a little bit flat, doesn't have the intricacies of the detail. Fair enough, it's a wide shot. The Vortex looks really nice, the Starfield looks really nice, the human airships look cool, but you go to Flux Max and that just looks next level. You got, I mean, it shouldn't be putting clouds in space, but whatever. Over here, this is Nano Banana. Compare that to Flux Max. Like, just the level of artwork and the detail here is pretty wild by comparison. That's a Seedance thing. What do we got here? Oh yeah, so this is the Keres, or the bad guy's home planet, and I wanted like a Dyson sphere. And it's a cool concept, but again, kind of lacking in detail, kind of just basic, and then you feed it into Flux Max 2 and the mind blown, So that's a little evolution that I found there. And again, I'm still rendering all my environments and concept frames like in the 21.9 aspect. It feels like that's giving me better results in terms of just a little bit more freedom of movement and all that kind of stuff. What am I missing here? So the reason I deviated there, LTX, I've been looking into these guys, and they have a fairly simple stack, but they have the potential to give me the workflow structure and the freedom of that workflow structure that I'm kind of looking for. So GenSpace, I guess you can give it prompts. It gives me the canvases, which I love. So I love my canvases, and I love flows, which are drawing my nodes between things and connecting the pieces and dots. Storyboards, so it's just demonstrating that I can throw my script in there and it'll generate a bunch of storyboards. And then it offers video editing. That might be okay just for like, let's assemble it and just see, like if I was on set with a bunch of cameras rolling live, which I've done before on a movie or on a couple of movies. When the cameras roll, they call action, they call cut, and they get a piece of footage. I'll grab that footage and just really quickly start cutting it into an assembly, and that gives the crew and the director and everyone on set the ability to just quickly go, okay, are we getting the shots? Will it cut together? Are we framed correctly? Should we make any quick fixes? It's a really quick way just to go, okay, this is working, or there's something wrong here. Let's quickly just change the direction of the cameras. And then, yeah, so it does dubbing and captioning and all that kind of stuff. So this is something I've got to be playing with. It seems promising. And it came from me just having a conversation with Gemini about, this is, it's got my production Bibles now. It's got my entire sort of workflow history and all the frustrations that I've been sharing with it, the questions that I've been having. And I said, okay, so here's my current stack. Here are my workflows. This is how I work now. And what's the best fit for me? And it said, try LTX. Like it did sort of suggest, like I said, well, what about like, what about Martini? And it said, if it basically said, you're trying to get away from getting into the nitty gritty, and you're trying to get away from having to learn new things like Blender and 3D animation and all that kind of stuff. Like I don't want to have to learn a new software. For InVideo, again, it feels like I want to have a balance between directing the scene and having a little bit of granular control. Open Art came up as a really strong option. I think it offers a lot of the things that I'm looking for. Luma sounds like a lot of fun. It's interesting, but again, it feels like more of a team-based. It feels like more of a team-based kind of canvas, and I don't know. I think there's a guy. What was his name? PJ Ace, who did that amazing sci-fi thing that is getting turned into a TV show. That's fine, but I think what I've found here is potentially LTX gives me what I want. Plus, I was looking at the models that it has available to it, and I lost the page. But essentially, what it gives me. Oh yeah, you can apparently you can train your own model to fit your style as well. But what it gives me, if I can find it, yeah, here, if I click on models. So Z image, I'm not really sure what that is yet, but it's included. Flux 2, I'm going to need that, so I'm going to have to get at least the standard or the pro accounts. Nano Banana Pro, sure, we know about that. GPT image model that comes with that, should I want it. And I know that a buddy of mine, Pivotal, he gets a lot of good use out of GPT image 2. LTX, I think, is their proprietary model, so I'll be playing with that maybe. Seedance comes with that, perfect. That's definitely part of my stack. VO 3.1, definitely part of my stack, which I'll need for Pro if I want to do live action stuff. But if I do animation, then I'm sweet with Seedance 2. Kling, Kling's okay. I'm not particularly interested in that, but I'm quite excited that it comes with Flux. So basically, it's almost narrowed down the very models that I've been experimenting with and nailed down to through trial and experimentation and failures, testing, Grok, Kling, Seedance, what was it called? Huiyao, Wan. Like all the different models and stuff, it's sort of showing me the exact stack that I'm interested in, with the exception maybe of Kling, which has been okay. It's surprised me on a couple levels, but I'm not getting the reliability in Kling that I do out of Seedance. So maybe for live action stuff it might surprise me. I haven't tested Kling in the live action stuff, but having an Omni model, stuff that takes pictures, videos, audio, and sort of is able to take all of those components and slam them into a video for you is useful. So I'm really excited by the prospect of now that it's a new month, new billing cycle. I'll show you where I got to. I had one last render to get Agnes Dei done, and I'm literally down to my last 3 credits now. So thank you very much. I've downloaded my pictures. I'm going to take all my stuff and run away and test a new workflow. So again, that's just coming back to the fact that I love the canvas. I love all that, but I just found myself just getting frustrated and trapped in this kind of bottleneck of, I'm only able to get like 1 shot a day, maybe 3 shots a day. Granted, for Agnes Dei, if I pop out a full view here. So Agnes Dei, let me dim the audio here so it's not too loud. But if I kind of just frame forward on these guys, so you know, first couple of shots, you know, I was maybe like one a day if I was lucky. I got distracted. I worked on other stuff. I did a couple of videos in the meantime. You guys you've been seeing these bits all, you know, for a long time. I think I got up to here, and it took me like a few weeks just to get up to around here. Maybe by the third week, I started playing around with this section, and then something. Yeah, and then so I think it's like 3, maybe 4 weeks, or just 1 month, let's say. The first month was all of this, right, up to this point, up to St. Paul's Cathedral, which I made sure to include things in the real world for symbolism. So over here you've got Tower of London and Tower Bridge, which are iconic parts of London. Back in the where's that fight? Where was it? Back here. This interior here is actually the Vatican. If you ever go, it's amazing. It's the biggest church I've ever seen, and it's quite beautiful. And interestingly enough, I might get in trouble saying this, but if you go to the Vatican, you will see all of the saints' tombs spread around the Vatican, and in a weird way, those are actually rebranded dead pagan gods. So they all represent something that pagan gods would have represented back in the day, like Slavic gods, and all the places that the church sort of gradually sort of conquered over time. They've rebranded as saints, and they've absorbed deities and religions into the faith to convert populations around the world. Let's see. So then I think we had. I wanted these to be like Fjordlands, and that's St. Paul's Cathedral, and that's symbolic because of the London bombings when the Nazis, the Luftwaffe, was bombing London, and I had the Arc de Triomphe, which is the French Arc of Triumph, in the background there, so you can kind of make it out. So it's just like a little bit of subtle messaging there, a little bit of sort of, you know, these are human world places, and they inspire a little bit of history, but also a little bit of symbolism, and they're all important things. So I got completely sidetracked. Sorry. Let's go back to progress. So then, these are some of the things that I started playing around with in Flux Max, and I mean, it definitely is. It sort of emphasizes, you know, the sexy female body. I don't mind that. I mean, my audience is predominantly male anyway, but some of these images here are pretty gorgeous, and putting these into Seedance just really made them sing. I mean, these are all fluxes. You know, these are all Flux Maxes. And if I go to the canvas, or actually I go to my images, you'll see. Yeah, all these extremely high quality, really cool looking ones are fluxes. I think that's a Nano Banana. Is it? Yeah, that's a Nano Banana. So Nano Banana still does pull some tricks out of the hat, but I think that there's some that, you know, I'm just going to be running both at the same time and just going, okay, surprise me. I know that Nano Banana Pro will give me a solid standard no matter what I ask of it, but Flux just wowed me. Like this kind of stuff, unfortunately I forgot to feed it. I really wanted this so bad to be part of the wormhole, but unfortunately I forgot to throw my assets into it, and I was running low on credits. So beep beep. Yeah, so got some really nice results, and really happy with a solid sort of short, call it a reel, trailer, whatever you want to call it. So what else? So what else are we going to talk about? Okay, so to go into a little bit more depth now, the production Bible. So this has been interesting. So if I go to my production Bible, I've basically organized it all into into categories. I just click this button and it sort of auto sorts it. So these are all conversations that I'm having with the production Bible. Some of the research and some of the work that I started when I was testing Claude MPC with Higgsfield and generating shots. I think that's part of the bottleneck that I was that I had was I was experimenting with too many things. I was sort of a little bit all over the place, and I just needed to get it done. And finally, actually, what I'll say is that what finally sorted it for me was I figured out I unlocked the final kind of piece of okay. I was getting something wrong in the Gem and NotebookLM workflow. And once I finally figured it out, and I'll get into it, all of a sudden, like I slammed out the second half of Agnes Dei in like 2 days. And I was like, wow, you know, I can keep going. Part of it was making sure you have all of the assets developed, or as many as you can before you get started, just like go nuts. But the other part of it was there was a little detail that I was missing in that workflow. So, because I started working out of the NotebookLM. So these are all the conversations, a lot of the research that I was doing, and what I was doing here. Again, I actually don't need a lot of these in here. I think it's doubling up on a lot of instructions that I've already given my gem, and I'll go into the gem instruction as well. But what it is a container that has all of your chats and story creation and shot creation and just the process of going through the project, and it keeps a context of all that. And when you enable your extended memory in your chats, it'll be able to draw on that, and it'll remember a lot of the details, and it'll remember the conversations you're having with it, and it'll help you along. So it's almost like it helps you build your foundations for the continuation of the project, and it actually starts to improve your workflow. And you'll get that out of Claude, you'll get that out of any LM that you set up. And that brings me to the fact that that brings me to the frustration that I was having was that, yes, I mean, Claude with Higgsfield and any generation model workflow you come up with is awesome. And I wanted to figure out, like, okay, can I just manually create my own MCP? And I figured it out through Gemini. I pinged it questions. But basically, if you go to the MPC here, and you go to, where is it? I think it's skill, right? Skill, if you go to, where is it? There was a GitHub thingy. Let's go to GitHub. There it is. Okay. So it's something called GitHub AK Codes Higgsfield Claude Skills Tree, right? So here, whatever it is that you're interested in kind of training your LM in, if you have if you have a notebook LM or you have your Claude project space, right? You can put these skills. This is essentially the same or similar kind of idea or method of training your Claude through an MCP. But you can take these skills, download them. So I was interested in cinematics, so I just downloaded the MD file by clicking on that and going to download the raw file. And then I just add a prefix because I wanted stuff that's cinematic. I want 3D CGI, I want cartoon, I want comic to video, I want fight scenes, I want, I mean, maybe one day if I start doing like nice design stuff, I might grab that one. E-commerce, anime action for sure, I wanted that. Music video, maybe one day, social hook, don't care. I mean, you can grab all of them, I'm sure it won't hurt. UGC Hot Girl, that made me laugh. I might have a play with that one at some point, but that actually made me laugh because let's face it, hot chicks sell products, and it's the influencer market of today. So video auto, I don't know what that is, but we've got so pretty much just the top like 7 or 8 skills are going to get you there, and then I plugged those into my NotebookLM. Where are they? So if I go back to this one here, which is called prompting architecture. So here you go. So these are my 3D CGI, anime, auto generate. I don't know what that was, but I took it anyway. Cartoon skill, cinematic, comic to video, fight scene, image auto skill, motion design skill. So these are the prompting structures that Higgsfield was using, and that kind of like as soon as I included those in my NotebookLM, it was like game changed. Like I was, I was getting much better results, really cool results as well. And that was just, Then what it meant was I had to go to my gems, and your role as a cinematographer, an AI animation director, and blah blah blah. So I gave it 2 sources of knowledge, which are my prompting architecture LM, which has those skills, and my production Bible, which is something that is constantly evolving and building as my NotebookLM is linked, basically contains all of my chats. So it's like the holy grail of information. Style basis, so that's where you get your style prompt structure lock. Then stage 1, so I updated it to say give me a prompt that's good for Nano Banana Pro and Flux Max. And here I updated the fact that I want my character style sheets to always be the front 3/4 angles, and I put read. That's why it didn't do a rear, so I need to fix that rear angle. But I still got good results. It was just for pilots, and it was the last couple of shots I had on grey background. In the case of characters, we should also include a portrait panel in the corner of the style sheet. That is the game changer. You want a little corner panel of a portrait in there, and I got that information from other videos and other people who are doing that sort of stuff. So then you've got your canvas references, how to prompt using the skill. Well, I probably would have to amend this, because I don't want to dictate to the gem instruction here how to prompt stuff for the specific models, because I gave it the skills. So it should be able to figure that out. It still figured it out anyway. I mean, with a little bit of manual tweaking here and there. And then, my working roster, Seedance 2.0 for this project is my primary work host. Assume I run every video shot through Seedance unless otherwise requested, blah, blah, blah. So my output spec is 720, and then I do an up-res to 4K through DaVinci. And it worked a lot better on a 2D anime or animation style than it did on a live action, I have to admit. I don't know where I went wrong. Well, I mean, so the upscale on live action, this goes back to anime being more contrast, less colors, and less complexity. So the interpolation of the upscale doesn't seem to be working quite as well for the live action stuff as I expected. But it's also got sliders, and I just left them as default and hoped for the best, because it takes into account movement in the image and all that kind of stuff. But 2D animation, it was fine. Upscaled it, no problem. No noise, no artifacts, no weird dots and stuff. So hopefully that's useful information to you guys on a number of levels here already. Going to the canvas. What do I talk about here? It's pretty epic. It's going to be a little bit sad to say goodbye to my canvases, but it's all in the name of science, research, and just figuring out the best workflow. Again, having the freedom just to move from one service or one model to another is just good, until you kind of go, you know what, I preferred the way that Higgsfield was doing stuff, or maybe I'm really hoping that LTX is going to be the thing for me moving forward now. Let's go to stuff I learned in the edit. what was that? Oh yeah, actually there is an interesting little thing here. So I'm going to mute the audio completely now because I'm going to be talking over it. And so we talked about my little trick about audio, music editing, sorry, and then ducking. So I used a form of auto mixing to not have the music overpower the voiceover. I'm really happy with the way that the sound turned out. Again, I'm not using studio headphones, so I can't really gauge it properly, but most people are going to be playing this off their TVs. They're going to be playing that off laptops and phones, and if it plays on that, then fine. I worked for a director, can't say who it is, but he was like, I want to see the finished product on the shittest TV that you've got, because if it looks good there and it sounds good there, then I'm happy. If you curate your stuff to perfection and make it only good for cinema, then it's only going to be good for cinema. I mean, you know, yes, it's going to hold up very well on TVs and all that kind of stuff as well. But it was an interesting kind of theory from him. And I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm going to be listening to this on my laptop anyway. I'm going to be listening to it on my phone. On the phone, it doesn't sound as good as it does on my laptop. I don't know, but it sounded fine, really. Really happy with the way that it turned out. And I was just really worried that my mix levels were in the red, that they were peaking, but they were just under the peak, and that seemed to be okay. Because otherwise, I've made the mistake on a few of my previous video where the audio was like crunchy and it was rookie error, unfortunately. But you know, you learn these things. I didn't realize that YouTube already has a normalization process in its transcode. When you upload your YouTube video, it has a level balancer, and I was crushing the shit out of that. So let's have a look at the one interesting little tip that I got from a friend of mine, a guy called Nick. He's an asset builder that I used to work with, and he's a really cool guy. He said that if I match back to the original source QuickTime of this and play it, oh, it's because it's 4K. Damn. Let me find some other media that isn't for 4K now. But if I go to this one, whatever this is some B-roll that I never used. Okay, well that's not a good example because it is it's got that step motion which you kind of you kind of do want that in anime stuff. But yeah, so that, see how smooth that runs? See how slow motion and smooth that is? It feels too real. This one here, oh no, why is that jittering? Why aren't these playing real time? Anyway, but you get the point. So if I go to my edit and I go to Fusion, so Nick told me what I should be doing is using like a 2-frame, 3-frame kind of staggered offset. I don't think I can quite get that level of detail unless I research some of the additional settings here in sampling variation. Maybe I'm not sure what that is, but I just went for every 2 frames, every second frame. It does a little steppy stagger, and that's a stop motion effect. So what it does is, because some of the animations that I was getting out of Seedance were steppy and staggered, and then if I went from like that style to fluid motion, then it would feel like, oh, there's a bit of a, like it's a subconscious thing that you sort of just notice. So I just thought, you know, I'll just stop motion the shit out of everything, and it kind of gave it that kind of steppy anime kind of feel. And yeah, thanks, Nick. It was a good tip, really great tip. So I just I threw it all over the timeline. Then I upscaled it, and the rest is glory of humanity. What else do I want to talk about? So I think I've basically covered it. I think that's sort of it. Hope you liked the Agnes Dei stuff. Hope you enjoyed my videos. Pop us a like, pop us a subscribe if you're interested, although I'm hearing these days likes and subscribes are not what they used to be. And just enjoy the content and let me know that you found it useful. Let me know if there's anything that you want me to elaborate on. I wouldn't really call it a making of. It's more of a, well, look, I mean, maybe you want me to go into a little bit more detail. I feel like I've been sort of doing a lot of this already, sort of explaining through my previous videos. But the next one that I'll probably start delving into, like I mentioned, was LTX. So, I mean, it feels promising. So until next time, see you later, bye.